Section 4 of The Brain and the Voice in Speech and Song by F.W. Mott. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Maria James. The resonator and articulator. The resonator. The resonator is an irregular-shaped tube with a bend in the middle. The vertical portion is formed by the larynx and pharynx, the horizontal by the mouth. The length of the resonator from the vocal cords to the lips is about 6.5 to 7 inches. The walls of the vertical portion are formed by the vertebral column and the muscles of the pharynx behind, the cartilages of the larynx and the muscles of the pharynx at the sides, and the thyroid cartilage, the epiglottis, and the root of the tongue in front. These structures form the walls of the throat and are all covered with a mucous membrane. This portion of the resonator passage can be enlarged to a slight degree by traction upon the larynx below, sternothyroid muscle, by looseness of the pharyngeal muscles, and still more by the forward placement of the tongue. The converse is true as regards diminution in size. The horizontal portion of the resonator tube, the mouth, has for its roof the soft palate and the hard palate, the tongue for its floor, and cheeks, lips, jaw, and teeth for its walls. The interior dimensions of this portion of the resonator can be greatly modified by movements of the jaw, the soft palate, and the tongue, while the shape and form of its orifice is modified by the lips. There are accessory resonator cavities, and the most important of these is the nose. Its cavity is entirely enclosed in bone and cartilage, consequently it is immovable. This cavity may or may not be closed to the sonorous waves by the elevation of the soft palate. When the mouth is closed, as in the production of the consonant M, e.g. in singing me, a nasal quality is imparted to the voice, and if a mirror be placed under the nostrils, it will be seen by the vapor on it that the sound waves have issued from the nose. Consequently, the nasal portion of the resonator has imparted its characteristic quality to the sound. The air sinuses in the upper jaws, frontal bones, and sphenoid bones act as accessory resonators, likewise the bronchi, windpipe, and lungs, but all these are of lesser importance compared with the principal resonating chamber of the mouth and throat. If the mouth be closed and a tune be hummed, the whole of the resonating chambers are in action, and the sound being emitted from the nose, the nasal quality is especially marked. But no sound waves are produced unless the air finds an exit. Thus a tune cannot be hummed if both mouth and nostrils are closed. From the description that I have given above, it will be observed that the mouth, controlled by the movements of the jaw, tongue, and lips, is best adapted for the purpose of articulate speech, and that the throat, which is less actively movable and contains the vocal cords, must have greater influence on the sound vibrations without participating in the articulation of words. While the vocal cords serve the purpose of the reed, the resonator forms the body of the vocal instrument. Every sound passes through it. Every vowel and consonant in the production of syllables and words must be formed by it, and the whole character and individual qualities of the speaking, as well as the singing voice, depend in great part upon the manner in which it is used. The acoustic effect is due to the resonances generated by hollow spaces of the resonator, and Dr. Aiken, in his work on The Voice, points out that we can study the resonances yielded by these hollow spaces by whispering the vocal sounds, but it is necessary to put the resonator under favorable conditions for the most effective production. When a vowel sound is whispered, the glottis is open, and the vocal cords are not thrown into vibration, yet each vowel sound is associated with a distinct musical note, and we can produce a whole octave by alteration of the resonator in whispering the vowel sounds. In order to do this efficiently, it is necessary to use the bellows and the resonator to the best advantage. Therefore, after taking a deep inspiration in the manner previously described, the air is expelled through the open glottis into the resonating cavity, which is placed under different conditions according to the particular vowel sound whispered. In all cases, the mouth is opened, keeping the front teeth about 1 inch apart. The tongue should be in contact with the lower dental arch, and lie as flat on the floor of the mouth as the production of the particular vowel sound will permit. When this is done, and a vowel sound whispered, a distinctly resonant note can be heard. Helmholtz and a number of distinguished German physicists and physiologists have analyzed the vowel sounds in the whispering voice and obtained very different results. If their experiments show nothing else, they certainly indicate that there are no universally fixed resonances for any particular vowel sound. Some of the discrepancies may, as Aiken points out, be due to the conditions of the experiment not being conducted under the same conditions. Aiken indeed asserts that if the directions given above be fulfilled, there will be variations between full-grown men and women of 1 or 2 tones, and between different men and different women of 1 or 2 semitones, and not much more. As he truly affirms, if the tube is 6 inches long, a variation of 3/4 of an inch could only make a difference of a whole tone in the resonance, and he implies that the different results obtained by these different experimenters were due to the faulty use of the resonator. In ordinary conversation, much faulty pronunciation is overlooked as long as the words themselves are intelligible, but in singing and public speaking, every misuse of the resonator is magnified and does not pass unnoticed. Increased loudness of the voice will not improve its carrying power if the resonator is improperly used. It will often lead to a rise of pitch and the production of a harsh, shrill tone associated with a sense of strain and effort. Aiken claims that by studying the whispering voice, we can find for every vowel sound that position of the resonator which gives us the maximum of resonance. By percussing the resonator in the position for the production of the various vowel sounds, you will observe a distinct difference in the pitch of the note produced. I will first produce the vowel sound oo, and proceed with the vowel sounds to I. You will observe that the pitch rises an octave, that this is due to the changes in the form of the resonator is shown when I percuss the resonator in the position of the different vowel sounds. You will observe that I start the scale of C with oo on F and proceed through a series of vowel sounds as in whispering hu, o, or, on, ah. I rise a fifth from F to C, and the diagram shows the change in the form of the resonator cavity to be mainly due to the position of the dorsum of the tongue. Proceeding from ah to the middle tone of the speaking register, we ascend the scale to I as in me, and the dorsum of the tongue now reaches the roof of the mouth. But the tongue not only rises, it comes forward, and the front segment of the resonator is made a little smaller at every step of the scale, while the back segment becomes a little larger. I consider this diagram of Aiken to be more representative of the changes in the resonator than the description of Helmholtz, who stated that the form of the resonator during the production of the vowel sound U and O is that of a globular flask with a short neck. During the production of A, that of a funnel with the wide extremity directed forward. Of E and I, that of a globular flask with a long, narrow neck. Footnote: this was done by the lecturer placing his left forefinger on the outside of the right cheek, then striking it with the tip of the middle finger of the right hand, just in the same way as he would percuss the chest. FWM. End of footnote. I have already said that Helmholtz showed that each vowel sound has its particular overtones, and the quality or timbre of the voice depends upon the proportional strength of those overtones. Helmholtz was able, by means of resonators, to find out which were the overtones for each vowel sound when a particular note was sung. The flame manometer of Koenig shows that if the same note be sung with different vowels, the serrated flame image in the mirror is different for each vowel, and if a more complicated form of the instrument be used, the overtones of the vowel sounds can be analyzed. You will observe that this instrument consists of a number of resonators placed in front of a series of membranes which cover capsules, each capsule being connected with a jet of gas. Figure 14, Koenig's flame manometer. The fundamental note C is sung on a vowel sound in front of the instrument. The lowest resonator is proper to that note, and the air in it is thrown into corresponding periodic rhythmical vibrations, which are communicated through an intervening membrane to the gas in the capsule at the back of the resonator. But the gas is connected with the lighted jet, the flame of which is reflected in the mirror, the result being that the flame vibrates. When the mirror is made to revolve by turning the handle, the reflected image shows a number of teeth corresponding to the number of vibrations produced by the note which was sung. The remaining resonators of the harmonic series, with their capsules and gas jets, respond in the same manner to the overtones proper to each vowel sound when the fundamental note is sung. End of caption. Each resonator corresponds from below upwards to the harmonics of the fundamental note C. In order to know if the sound of the voice contains harmonics and what they are, it is necessary to sing the fundamental note C on some particular vowel sound. The resonators corresponding to the particular harmonics of the vowel sound are thus set in action, and a glance at the revolving mirror shows which particular gas jets vibrate. Experiments conducted with this instrument show that the vowel U equals U is composed of the fundamental note very strong, and the third harmonic, viz. G, is fairly pronounced. O, on, contains the fundamental note, the second harmonic, the octave above, C, very strong, and the third and fourth harmonics but weak. The vowel A, contains besides the fundamental note the second harmonic weak, the third strong, and the fourth weak. The vowel E, has relatively a feeble fundamental note. The octave above, the second harmonic, is weak, and the third weak, whereas the fourth is very strong and the fifth weak. The vowel I, E, has very high harmonics, especially the fifth, which is strongly marked. We see from these facts that there is a correspondence between the existence of the higher harmonics and the diminished length of the resonator. They are not the same in all individuals, for they depend also upon the timbre of the voice of the person pronouncing them, or the special character of the language used, as well as upon the pitch of the fundamental notes employed. Helmholtz inferred that if the particular quality of the vowel sounds is due to the reinforcement of the fundamental tone by particular overtones, he ought to be able to produce synthetically these vowel sounds by combining the series of overtones with the fundamental note. This he actually accomplished by the use of stopped organ pipes which gave sensibly simple notes. Having thus shown that the fundamental note is dependent upon the tension of the vocal cords, the reed portion of the instrument, and the quality, timbre, or clang upon the resonator, I will pass on to the formation of syllables and the words of articulate speech by the combination of vowel sounds and consonants. Quote, "The articulate sounds called consonants are sounds produced by the vibrations of certain easily movable portions of the mouth and throat, and they have a different sound according as they are accompanied by voice or not." Close quote. Herman. The emission of sounds from the resonator may be modified by interruption or constriction in 3 situations, at each of which added vibrations may occur. 1. At the lips, the constriction being formed by the 2 lips or by the upper or lower lip with the lower or upper dental arch. 2. Between the tongue and the palate, the constriction being caused by the opposition of the tip of the tongue to the anterior portion of the hard palate or posterior surface of the dental arch. 3. At the fauces, the constriction being due to approximation of the root of the tongue and the soft palate. Consonants can only be produced in conjunction with a vowel sound. Consequently, the air is thrown into sonorous waves of a complex character, in part dependent upon the shape of the resonator for the production of the vowel, in part dependent upon the vibrations at each of these situations mentioned above. Consonants may accordingly be classified as they are formed at the 3 places of interruption, lips, teeth, and fauces, respectively, 1 labial, 2 dental, 3 guttural. The sounds formed at each of the places of interruption are divided into 1. Explosives. At one of the situations mentioned, the resonator is suddenly opened or closed during the expulsion of air. A. Without the aid of voice, P, T, K. B. With the aid of voice, B, D, G. When one of these consonants begins a syllable, opening of the resonator is necessary, e.g. pa. When it ends a syllable, closure is necessary, e.g. ap. No sharp distinction is possible between P and B, T and D, and K and G if they are whispered. 2. Aspirates. The resonator is constricted at one of the points mentioned so that the current of air, either expired or inspired, rushes through a small slit. Here again we may form two classes, A, without the aid of the voice, Fs, sharp, ch, guttural, B, with the aid of the voice, V, Z, Y. The consonants S and L are formed when the passage in front is closed by elevation of the tongue against the upper dental arch, so that the air can only escape at the sides between the molar teeth. Sh is formed by the expulsion of the current of air through two narrow slits, viz. One between the front of the tongue and the hard palate, the other between the nearly closed teeth. If a space be left between the tip of the tongue and the upper teeth, two consonant sounds can be produced, one without the aid of the voice, th, hard as in that, the other with the aid of the voice, th, soft as in thunder. Ch is a guttural produced near the front of the mouth, e.g. in Christ, or near the back as in Bach. 3. Resonance. In the production of the consonant M and sometimes N, the nasal resonator comes into play because the soft palate is not raised at all, and the sound waves produced in the larynx find a free passage through the nose, while the mouth portion of the resonator is completely closed by the lips. The sounds thus produced are very telling in the singing voice. 4. Vibratory sounds. There are three situations in which the consonant R may be formed, but in the English language it is produced by the vibration of the tip of the tongue in the constricted portion of the cavity of the mouth, formed by the tongue and the teeth. The consonants have been grouped by Hermann as follows. 1. Explosives. A without the voice, labials, P, dentals, T, gutturals, K. B with the voice, labials, B, dentals, D, gutturals, G. 2. Aspirates. A without the voice, labials, F, dentals, S, hard, L, sh, th, hard, guttural, ch. With the voice, labials, V, dentals, Z, L, th, sh, soft, gutturals, Y in yes. 3. Resonance. Labials, M, dentals, N, gutturals, N, nasal. 4. Vibratory sounds. Labials, labial R, dentals, lingual R, gutturals, guttural R. H is the sound produced in the larynx by the quick rushing of the air through the widely opened glottis. Hermann's classification, which I have given, is especially valuable as regards the speaking voice, but Aiken classifies the consonants from the singing point of view, according to the more or less complete closure of the resonator. Classification of consonants, Aiken. Jaw fully open, H, L, K, G. Jaw less open, T, D, N, R. Jaw nearly closed, lips closed, P, B, M. Jaw nearly closed, upper lip on lower teeth, F, V. Jaw quite closed, S, Z, J, N, ch, sh. Aiken, moreover, points out that the English language is so full of closures that it is difficult to keep the resonator open, and that accounts for one of the principal difficulties in singing it. Quote, the converse of this may be said in Italian, in which most words end in pure vowels which keep the resonator open. In fact, it is this circumstance which has made the Italian language the basis of every point of voice culture and the producer of so many wonderful singers. Close quote. As an example, compare the English word voice, which begins with closure and ends with closure, and the Italian voce, pronounced voce, with its two open vowel sounds. The vowel sound ah on the note C is the middle tone of the speaking register, and as we know, can be used all day long without fatigue. Therefore, in training the voice, the endeavor should be made to develop the register above and below this middle tone. In speaking, there is always a tendency under emotional excitement, especially if associated with anger, to raise the pitch of the voice, whereas the tender emotions lead rather to a lowering of the pitch. Interrogation generally leads to a rise of the pitch. Thus, as Helmholtz pointed out in the following sentence, there is a decided fall in the pitch, "I have been for a walk," whereas in "Have you been for a walk?" there is a decided rise of pitch. If you utter the sentence, "Who are you?" there is a very definite rise of the pitch on R. End of section 4.